Hello, my name is Behruz Soleimani, and I'm a graduate nursing student at Seattle University. If I told you there is a vaccine that can protect you against certain types of cancer, would you want to know about that vaccine? Well, this video is about that vaccine. There is a virus called human papillomavirus, or HPV, that transmits sexually and can cause cancer in several parts of the body. HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection in the United States. Most sexually active people will get HPV at some point in their life. Fortunately, there is a vaccine that can protect from several types of HPV. In this video, we are going to review what is HPV and why we should care about it.
This morning, I am joined by Dr. Shirley Butler, who is an obstetrician and gynecologist, to discuss about HPV. Dr. Butler, good morning. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Good morning.
What is HPV and why is it important to know about it?
So HPV is the human papillomavirus, and it's a group of about 200 viruses. It's important to know about it because it can cause cancers of the mouth, the throat, the cervix, the vulva, penis, and the anus.
So it sounds like both men and women are susceptible to HPV and its related cancers.
Yes.
How is HPV transmitted?
HPV is transmitted primarily through sexual contact, but really any skin-to-skin or mucosal contact, even open mouth kissing, can result in an HPV infection. Each new partner that someone has increases the risk of getting an HPV infection.
And what are the symptoms of an HPV infection?
Unfortunately, the majority of HPV infections are actually asymptomatic. The HPV virus can cause a spectrum of symptoms. Some of them can cause genital warts, which tend to be little fleshy knobs, little bits of flesh in the genitals, and they can be very itchy, all the way up to cellular changes, to cancers, again, of the mouth, the anus, the throat, the penis, and the vagina.
So if you get infected with HPV, how do you know you've got an infection?
Yeah, it's hard. You might not know if you're infected with it, which highlights the importance of screening and screening and prevention. We could be spreading the disease without knowing it.
So I know that women can get screened for cervical cancer starting at age 21. Is there any screening tool for men?
Unfortunately, no. Currently, we don't have any public health measure of screening to screen men for the virus, but still getting the HPV vaccine decreases men's risks of getting cancers, again, of the mouth, throat, penis, and anus.
Okay, so you mentioned a vaccine for HPV. That's very good news. Who should get that vaccine?
Everyone should get it between the ages of 11 and 26. But some people may be able to get it up until the age of 45, depending on that individual's risks and benefits discussion that they have with their individual provider. Ideally, you should get the vaccine before becoming sexually active, but even afterwards, it's okay to get the vaccine, and the sooner the better.
Besides getting the vaccine, what else can we do to prevent an HPV infection?
Yeah, HPV, the HPV vaccine is just one preventative measure to protect your health. You still need to use condoms to prevent other STDs in pregnancy. And then again, not having as few sexual partners as possible will decrease your risk.
And also getting to know the habits of a sexual partner before we start having sex with them.
Absolutely.
So when women get vaccinated for HPV, should they still get screened for cervical cancer?
Yes, women should still have regular pap smears.
And just to clarify, can men get the HPV vaccine?
Absolutely.
And how safe is the vaccine?
The vaccine is very safe. Extreme reactions are very rare. The most common reactions are just pain at the injection site, and some people faint because they're afraid of needles.
Does the vaccine protect against all HPV infections?
It does not. It protects against the 9 most common strains of HPV, and these are the ones that typically cause throat, mouth, and anogenital cancers as well as genital warts.
Well, thank you, Dr. Butler, for your time. Dr. Butler is an obstetrician and gynecologist at McGee Women's Hospital of the University of Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Verus.
So this is plenty of information to absorb, but it is important to be aware so you can protect your health. I'm going to summarize some important points to remember. The HPV vaccine protects against 9 common types of HPV that can eventually cause cancer and genital warts. The HPV vaccine does not protect you against other sexually transmitted diseases such as HIV or herpes. If you have already been infected with a particular type of HPV, the vaccine does not cure that infection, but it prevents infections with other types of HPV. Now, let's pause for a minute. If you have an HPV infection, does that mean you'll get cancer? Well, not necessarily. In fact, most of the time, the body's immune system clears HPV infections, and it is only in a minority of cases that an HPV infection leads to cancer. If you haven't already got the HPV vaccine, you can get it until age 26, but the sooner the better. If you are getting the HPV vaccine at age 15 or later, you need 3 shots given over 6 months. Even after getting vaccinated, women and transgender men with a uterus and cervix need to screen for cervical cancer starting at age 21. To prevent sexually transmitted diseases, also known as STDs, one should have as few sex partners as possible. It is safest to have only one partner. Talk with your partner about STDs and get tested before having sex. And remember, consent from both partners is necessary before having sex. Abstaining from sex is another option to prevent STDs. Correct use of condoms can reduce the risk of getting most STDs, but there is still a risk of getting HPV if you are not vaccinated. Effective birth control methods are necessary to avoid unplanned pregnancies. You can get the HPV vaccine at the Student Health Center, Planned Parenthood, your doctor's office, and in most pharmacies. If you have any questions, please ask your doctor or any of the healthcare providers at the Student Health Center. You can also find information about HPV at the CDC website, cdc.gov/HPV. Thank you for watching this video and take care.